Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
Hello and welcome to the Popternative podcast. It's a podcast where we have digital discussions, worlds of sports, pop culture, social media, everything really. As always, I'm your host, Peter Remoliotis. On Twitter, it goes PDBs. Before we get into the NHL Draft, the Toronto Raptors, they did it. Congrats, NBA champs, 2019. Great stuff. Just wanted to give a shout out to that. And now we roll on with some NHL Draft specials because we're going to snap our fingers and players are going to have their opportunity to have their name called up in Vancouver and get one step closer to their dream. And I'm speaking to a goaltender who plays for the Rimouski Oceanic in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. We are speaking to Colten Ellis. Colten, welcome to Popternative.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Crazy couple of weeks. It's going to be crazy next week as well. But how's it been for you, man? How you're just soaking it all in a bit?
Yeah, I think the whole year it was a pretty busy year, and obviously the draft's kind of always in the back of your mind, but you just kind of want to focus every day on what you got to do to help your team. So I think the last couple of weeks have been really busy for me, and it's getting really exciting for sure. The
NHL Combine was an opportunity for you to kind of do the physical testing, but kind of also do some interviews. There's a little bit of both. Talk a little bit about both aspects of the Combine, the physical testing and the interview aspect of things.
Yeah, I think it was a great experience all around. Obviously, you get to kind of hang out with some guys, some of the other top prospects. So I think that was cool in itself. And the off-ice testing, it was pretty cool. I know in the QMJHL Combine, it was kind of similar to that when I went to that a couple of years ago. So to be able to do that again on a bigger stage was pretty cool. And as far as the meetings, I think everything was positive. I think just being able to kind of sit in the room with all the teams is kind of a surreal feeling. So it was a lot of fun.
What were kind of the questions like? I know every year, we interviewed some players last year, and some teams had, the typical questions about the on ice and the training. But, did you have any questions about video games or anything kind of that you weren't expecting?
Yeah, video games was a pretty common question. I think for the most part, it's pretty standard. Most of the meetings, obviously, they want to get to know you more than anything. They already know you on the ice, so it's more just getting to meet everybody and kind of see what kind of person you are.
No, absolutely. Colten Ellis is a goaltender, and Colten Ellis is playing in a position that when times are tough, it is arguably the most kind of like pressured position in hockey. And, I've talked to a few goalies before on the show where they talk about, they kind of thrive under the pressure. Does Colten Ellis thrive under the pressure?
Yeah, I think anytime there's a lot of pressure on you, I just kind of view it as a challenge. And I think it's kind of fun to have that weight on your shoulders. And it's something that I think I handle pretty well. Obviously, wherever you go in hockey, there's going to be some kind of pressure. Depending on the degree and depending on how you deal with it is how you're going to react, I guess. So I think just being able to deal with that is something very important. It's something that I enjoy.
When did you kind of decide? I mean, you've been playing hockey all your life, I'm assuming. But when did you kind of decide that goaltending was something you wanted to do?
I think like growing up, obviously everybody kind of takes their turn going to net, and I think from a young age it was something that I was fairly good at, just kind of going into it, and it was something that I really enjoyed doing. Obviously, I just kind of stuck with it, so I think it was something that I really loved doing from a young age, and just stuck with it.
What you learned this year in the Quebec Major Hockey League specifically, what could you take from this year towards you becoming kind of a pro down the road? Was there anything specifically this year that you're going to take down the road for your career becoming a professional goaltender, Colten?
Yeah, I think just perseverance and being able to perform on a nightly basis and having consistency in your game is something that down the road is very important. So I think just kind of being able to have a bad game one night and go right back into the net the next is something that every goalie's got to be able to do, and it's something that I really improved on this year for sure.
You talk about perseverance. What has kind of been the biggest challenge that you faced in your hockey career thus far?
I think maybe last year it was my rookie year, so going in the league I didn't really know what to expect. It was my first time being in the league full time. So I think just dealing with kind of a slump, I guess, or a couple bad games in a row where you start overthinking and you start kind of worrying a little bit. But I think learning to get over that hump is something that is a big quality that a lot of goalies have to succeed. So I think getting through that last year was something that really helped me.
I find it very interesting because, players that play in junior hockey are in a very interesting spot because the way junior hockey, the Quebec Mid-Junior Hockey League and the CHL in general has developed, you have teams that have amazing fan bases and it's like a pro atmosphere at games and it's a pro setting for you guys who are always on the road and everything. So I find it interesting because at the end of the day, you guys are still kids and you're looking up to, pro players and NHL players, but at the same time, there are younger kids that are looking up to players like yourself that are playing in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. Yeah. So you're looking up to role models, but you're also a role model. Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah, I think like growing up, you always, especially me coming from Cape Breton, I've always grew up watching the Eagles. So you always kind of looked up to those guys, and then kind of being in their shoes now, you're still looking up to guys in pro. So I think in the last couple of years, that was something that I really put into perspective. Just making sure, like knowing that I looked up to the guys and I'm where they are now. So I think just making sure you're carrying yourself even off the ice, on the ice, wherever it is, and kind of acting like a pro is something that you really have to do to set a good example for the kids looking up to you.
And, in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, you see it a lot, the community events and kind of giving back and, going to schools and everything. That's something that a lot of teams are doing. And that, I think, is good for community building, but it's also good for character building. It kind of gives you an opportunity to kind of go out there and see what's out there, right, Colten?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's something that I enjoy doing. Obviously, connecting with your community in Rimouski, we have a great fan base. It's a really good hockey city. So to be able to kind of give back to the community in any way, kind of doing different events is it's really special for me.
We're gonna get back to more like the scouting aspect of things right now. Who is Colten Ellis on the ice, and who is Colten Ellis off the ice?
On the ice, I like to model my game after Jonathan Quick. He's someone that growing up I always admired for his athleticism and ability to go post to post. So that's kind of the main aspect of my game that I think really helps me succeed. So I think building around that with different qualities and like being positionally sound, reading the play, and kind of things like that really helps me evaluate my game from an off-ice standpoint and then kind of take it in every day. So I think, on the ice, I think just Jonathan Quick is someone that I model my game after. So just kind of be like him and add as many attributes that he has to my game is something that helps me. And I think off the ice, I'm a really big family person, like hanging out with all my friends. Obviously, when you're playing in the QMJHL, you're going to be away from home for long periods of time, especially during the season. So I think anytime I get a chance to kind of sit down with my friends or family or do any activities, whether it's just watching sports or going to the movies or golf and whatever it may be, and just kind of getting to unwind and kind of hang out with them is something that I really enjoy. Growing
up, did you play other sports besides hockey at some point?
Yeah, no, growing up, I was pretty well enrolled in everything there was, especially in school sports. In, I guess, elementary up until grade 8, I played pretty well. Whatever season it was, there was always a sport during that time of the year. So just kind of being in that. And I think just kind of being an athlete is something that in order to succeed in hockey, you got to really be a good athlete and be able to kind of do different sports, and I think I had a lot of fun doing it, and it's something that to this day I enjoy doing.
Man, you just answered the question I was about to ask, like how important it is to play other sports growing up.
No, it's extremely important, I think, just to get different experiences, and obviously you're gonna develop attributes that are gonna help you in hockey as well.
Moving off the ice, like in the gym, I mean, that's something, and on the show, like I interview like a lot of different athletes. I also interview like professional wrestlers. And the one thing that they kind of talk about, Colten, is like the importance of like maybe not going every day, but kind of having a consistent like workout plan and like sticking to it at its fullest. Because if you kind of don't do that, then it's going to kind of change habits and things like that. How important is it for you in the gym doing things like that?
Yeah, I think obviously ever since a young age, it's something that you really got to be keen on being in the gym. Like my training program right now is about 6 days a week, so I think that's really important. Just develop all the off ice things you got to develop that are going to help you on the ice. So it's huge for sure.
Looking at the NHL Draft in Vancouver, I mean, it's an exciting time. You kind of get to think about it now, but I'm sure Colten Ellis. I'm sure it was in the back of Colten Ellis' mind in the beginning of the year as well. You're focusing on the task at hand at Rimouski, but like, I guess my question is, how were you kind of able to block that, like that chatter out during your year in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League?
Yeah, I think that's something that every player has to deal with. So being able to kind of control it and monitor it without kind of thinking about it too much. Obviously, you can't completely block it out. You're going to hear different things here and there about it. So I think just being able to just focus on every day and not think too far ahead is something really important.
For sure. And a couple more questions before we wrap up. Why should a NHL team draft Colten Ellis?
I think the way I've improved over the last few years has been a consistent improvement, and I know I have a long ways to go, and I think that there's my potential is obviously sky's the limit for me, I think, in my personal opinion. So I think just kind of keep the way I keep working and getting better is something that's really going to help me hopefully get to play my dream and play in the NHL.
And then another question I kind of want to know, I want you to put your scouting hat on a little bit. Some players that, you've played against in kind of the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League in your draft year that you were really impressed with, and then players that you kind of met, whether it was at the Top Prospects game or in international play over the years. Any players that we should be kind of looking out for that you were kind of impressed with when you played them or saw them play?
Yeah, I think there's a couple different guys I know, like Sam Poulin from Sherbrooke Phoenix. He's a guy that whenever he's on the ice, he can make something happen. So me playing against him, he's got a lethal shot. So just kind of being aware whenever he's on the ice, he can kind of make plays when you don't think there's any room, or you can get kind of out of jams quick and make that right play. So I think he's someone that is going to go really high in the draft this year.
No, absolutely. Well, Colten, thank you so much for joining me on Popternative. I know it's a very busy time, so it's awesome that you're able to take some time out of your schedule. Where can people follow you on social media and keep up to date?
My Instagram is Colten Ellis 29, and it's the same for Twitter.
Perfect, man. Well, seriously, thank you so much, and I wish you all the best at the NHL Draft.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Thank you.
No problem. Well, this has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. We have a lot of NHL specials with other players, panels as well, so be sure to check those out. Until next time, this is Colten Ellis and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.